Namaskar and welcome to Indian Diplomacy, a show on India's national television channel, Doordarshan, about Indian foreign policy, India's international relations, and India's engagements with important regions and sub-regions around the world. Viewers, this is a special episode where we are doing an in-depth discussion on India's relations with its immediate neighboring countries. Neighborhood has always mattered for any country, especially for a rising power like India. Carrying the neighborhood with it is very, very essential as India marches on its way to great power or leading power status. So, how is the neighborhood responding to Indian policies? What's happening within the neighborhood, and how can India be more influential and more supportive of developments in the neighborhood? These are the themes of this special episode. And to discuss this, I have a very large group of highly talented young college and university students, 43 of them from dozens of institutions across the country, who are joining me in the studio here. Let me welcome all of them to this discussion. Wonderful. So, we are in 2025, 2026 and talking about neighborhood, and it's over 11 years since the neighborhood first policy of the Narendra Modi government has been in operation. The question is, what is happening to the neighborhood first policy? How have we implemented it? Why have we even prioritized the neighborhood in a very explicit way like this as a specific policy? And let's hear from some of you on what has transpired in these last 11 years in particular, and how have we walked the talk of neighborhood first. Can I hear from someone, please? Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. My name is Sanika Kailas Deore and I am from Savitribai Phule University, Maharashtra. And talking about India's neighborhood first policy, we must recognize that India's security and growth do not stop at our borders. They are shaped by what happens beyond it. Also, a stable and prosperous neighborhood is not a choice for India, but a strategic necessity. And as you stated that since 2014, we have continued the policy of neighborhood first, and putting neighbors first means giving priority to trust, dialogue, development, and cooperation with the countries which share our neighbors, which share our boundaries and seas as well. And stating that why this matters most, I'll like to stress on the word geography, because geography shapes our realities, and the instability in our neighborhood will directly affect India's security, economy, and social harmony as well. Also, while peaceful neighbors creates and open up job opportunities for trade, connectivity, and collective growth. And we should not forget that a stable region means a stable India. Also, I think it's important to highlight here that India has not kept this policy only on paper. It has implemented it on ground. We can see these in various examples like Bhutan and Nepal's hydropower electricity and connectivity roads developments. Also in stronger rails and energy connectivity in Bangladesh as well. We can also see this in India's quick response to Nepal's earthquakes. Also during COVID-19 period, when COVID-19 hit, India supplied vaccines under Vaccine Maitri to all its neighbors. It is also an important point which I think is a need to highlight here. Also, we can see a clear response of India to the economic crisis which Sri Lanka faced in the recent years. And this all this clearly shows that India is acting as a first responder and a reliable and trusted partner. However, India's cooperation and cooperation options lies in partnerships which is transparent, sustainable, and sensitive to the local concerns. Thank you.
Thank you so much, viewers. Our friend from Savitribai Phule University in Pune, Maharashtra, has summed up neatly what we have tried to do under neighborhood first. Geography, I take the point, is not something we can choose, right? We are just destined to live with whoever is around us. And the question is, how do we manage these neighbors in a manner that benefits them but also advances our own security and our own interests? Any other thoughts on neighborhood first and what we have done so far to live up to that famous phrase enunciated by our Prime Minister? Can we hear from some more students, please? Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. My name is Ashmi Singh from Delhi University. Sir, neighborhood means a lot to our nation when it comes to since 2014 onwards. We have worked towards maintaining us through many political, militarily, and soft power has been a major role player which has initiated our foreign policy with neighbors, especially when it comes to Indian culture. Our nation has a huge heritage of culture which with a diverse religious practices which has actually shaped and tied our nation with other nations more stronger. When it comes to Sri Lanka, we are tied with Ramayana. When it comes to Bangladesh, it has already it has been part of our nation. When it comes to Nepal, it has been part of our culturally, inheritedly. It has been part of India. So when it comes to maintaining our relation with the other countries, it is the soft power which has played a very important role. We can see our Prime Minister playing majorly through the soft power. We have actually initiated a lot of initiatives when it comes to educationally. People, students are coming in our country, knowing our nation, knowing our culture, and then taking it back to their nation. We, as a student going abroad, taking their culture and giving our culture back to them.
Thank you, thank you. So yeah, viewers, our friend from Delhi University is also reminding us it's not only the tangible assistance and the tangible integration, but also the intangible civilizational heritage that is common to the subcontinent, and that's what she's talking about in terms of the cultural connect with our neighbors. Buddhism, the Ramayana, all these things have been highlighted in a big way to showcase the unity, the cultural unity of all the people, especially in South Asia. So I think that's a point well taken. Now, we have tried to establish that neighborhood first has been in implementation, and we are, attempting to do our best for the benefit of our neighbors, and yet we see a neighborhood that is in turmoil, right? So, for the last 5 years, the number of regimes that have collapsed, that too suddenly, and the chaos, people on the street, revolutionary fervor, rise of radical ideologies, violence, and total instability. This is the norm. This has been the norm. In a sense, India has been like the centerpiece holding the region together because it has stability. But every other country has gone through these repeated cycles of internal chaos and disturbances. So I want to go there, and I want to bring in some voices talking about why you think this is happening and what is the reason for this turbulent neighborhood. Yes, please.
Hello, sir. I'm Sonali Sen from Patliputra University, Bihar. I see we have seen so many political instability in our neighbors during past 5 years. And major reason I see as a deep trap policy of China and rising influence of China, which has played a very prominent role in stabilizing their political scenarios. And in such circumstances, India has not tried to withdraw from the situation, but it has tackled very diplomatically. Like we have seen in the example of that India followed four major policy, which is Samman, Samvad, Santi, and Samriddhi, where India tried to respect their diplomatic mandates of their internal politics, and at the same time, India has tried to try to cooperate with regimes in even in the time of disputes. So when disputes happening, that India open its trade for engagement. At the same time, India's try to give like economic at its to neighboring countries in times of their political in times of a crisis, we can say. And it is showing the prosperity that India has adopted for samriddhi of their uh, neighborhood nations. So it is a pragmatic and pragmatic approach of India that it is trying to stabilize its
Thank you,
Yes.
thank you. Viewers, our friend from Pataliputra University in Bihar is referring to Indian actions which are not really interference, but which are meant to try and stabilize these countries despite the upheavals there. But I want to still focus on why there are upheavals in the first place. Can we hear from some students on why there is upheaval in the region? Yes, please.
Hello, sir. My name is Amit Kumar. I am from Dr. Syama Prasad Mukherjee University, Ranchi, Jharkhand. Sir, I want to start with that our National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval sir, has rightly concluded in Columbus Conclave Security Engagement that the issue of the political instability that is being happening in our neighborhood is due to the lack of the governance which had been erupted in our neighboring country. As we can see that in Pakistan, there's a recently 27 amendment has been done, due to which the power of civil government has been transferred to the military government. There had been a military superiority had been established. In Bangladesh, we can see the element of the increasing the radicalization. Various other terrorist organizations that have been banned had been lifted up. Ban had been lifted up. We can see recently in the Sri Lanka there had been increase in various countries such as Maldives and Sri Lanka. In Bangladesh there has recently increased in China debt trap diplomacy, due to which China want to get the strategic leverage of India, and it also established the anti-India sentiment. China also established anti-India sentiment against India. So I want to conclude that with this approach, China always want to take the strategic leverage against India. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, interesting strategic point made by our friend from Jharkhand. Viewers, and it was also mentioned earlier that there is a China problem in this region where debt trap and other forms of interventions by the Chinese have led to major crisis building up and then erupting in a volcano in the neighborhood. This is a problem. This is indeed something that is of high concern for us in India. And increasingly, people in our own neighboring countries are waking up to the fact that their elites in the past had sold their national sovereignty and their main assets to an external predatory power like China. This is indeed a problematic issue, and we must highlight that it's one of the causes. The other point, of course, is about governance, and there is a failure of governance. And despite our best efforts to transfer some of the practices from India to these countries in terms of how to manage multi-ethnic societies, how to manage center-state relations and those sort of things through federal solutions. Most of these countries, we find that governance has not really succeeded. And there is also an issue of nation building, isn't it? In some of these countries, there's just no cohesive sense of a single nation. They've had civil wars and serious religious and other forms of ethnic divisions. Having done the analysis of the internal dynamics in these countries, I want to go a little bit in a kind of a reverse clockwise direction in the arc of our neighborhood. I want to start with the eastern direction first. Okay, now the east is in flames, literally, as we speak. Myanmar has been in although it's not technically part of South Asia, and people count it as Southeast Asia, it's a right next door, right? And we have a long border with them, so it's very, very significant. So Myanmar has a civil war-like situation. Less than 50% of the country is in the hands of the military, and ethnic rebels control large swaths of land in the country, and wars have been raging, and the peace process is broken. The transition to democracy has gone nowhere, and Myanmar is in bad trouble, right? Bangladesh looking equally bad or perhaps even worse. We have all the symptoms of a country that is going downhill in terms of social cohesion, in terms of lack of a strong state, and the rise of fundamentalist elements and all these things. So let's start with the East. So what exactly is happening in these countries? Why is it so bad? Myanmar and Bangladesh, I want some analysis of what's going on there. What can India do?
Hi, I'm Ishani Ghosh from Makhanlal Chaturvedi, National University in Journalism and Mass Communication. So basically what India can do is that they can provide main issue is that because of the crisis that the facing the lack of job opportunities And also there is lot of political insecurity, violence that going spreading everywhere in the country only. So basically India can do is that provide job opportunities, especially to the youngsters. Especially there is a rise between Hindu and Muslim. So what they can do is that they can protect, they bring back to the citizens from Hindu citizens.
Thank you. Can I hear some more? We only heard about Bangladesh. I would like to also hear views about Myanmar. What's happening? Yes, please.
Hello everyone, this is Pranjal Gurjar and I am from DAVV University Indore. Thank you so much sir for having us in this beautiful discussion. So yeah, in the India matters a lot in the evolving situation of Bangladesh and Myanmar because of its geographical proximity, and again the stability in these countries affect directly on the India's, like especially in the northeast region of the India. And again India is a key role, India is a key development and trade partner, and giving it as a relevance uh, like uh, beyond the political regime. And again it is not in the India's hand to determine and decide the government, but yeah, India can shape the outcomes, to be a reliable friend and as a non-partisan friend. And again India India can determine that whosoever will come in the power will see India as a cooperative partner, and also natural, beneficial, and necessity for them. Okay, thank you.
Okay, but how can we do that? I mean, this is the real question, right? This is the real challenge. Thank you for this. I'd like to hear more voices on how can we be seen as a non-partisan friend of everybody in these countries, because we have been painted as favoring one side or the other, right? So this is really the big challenge, and I'd like to know what can we do to be seen as um, unbiased and at the same time proactively involved. Yeah, can I hear from you?
Hello, sir. Jia this side. I graduated from Maitreyi College, University of Delhi this year. So, as you said about Bangladesh and Myanmar, Bangladesh is and Myanmar both at the same time are facing a sense of belongingness among the population. There is a lack of community development. As we see in Myanmar, there are over 200 armed groups which are ethnically divided, and the problem is they are not they're not able to attach themselves with a sense of identity. That is, we are talking about nation. As a responsible neighbor, India can play a huge role in these countries. Like for example, we can talk about how we are looking at the world. We are not looking at the world to become a regional hegemon. We are instead working to give the platform as an anchor of stability. Also, sir, one of the thing which I want to highlight here is there is a goodwill that India enjoy in Myanmar because of there is an entire generation which has studied in India. There was a time when India provided educational platform to Myanmar, so we can use it in that way. Like say, I'm from Maitri and I have seen how cultural diplomacy works. So we can give wing to our cultural diplomacy, like by providing a platform so that engagement continues.
Okay, right. So our respondents are talking viewers more about economic deprivation in these countries and are linking it to the upheaval, the so-called Gen Z protests and all these things. The verdict is out there because Bangladesh had high economic growth for the last 15 years. So it's not like, and in fact, it was supposed to rise from low income to move out of the bracket of low income country in the coming years. So it's not clear as to whether there is a direct link between economic grievances and the rise of these turbulence in these countries. But yes, there is unrest, and that's all we can say. What India can do more, our friends are pointing out different ideas. But at the end of the day, it's a delicate act, and we have to act with a degree of sagacity and strategic restraint. Let me continue going in this anti-clockwise direction of the arc. Let me go up north. We have our two landlocked Himalayan neighbors, Nepal and Bhutan. Nepal has undergone the so-called one more Gen Z revolt recently, and it is in transition to one more round of elections. There is a supposedly dissatisfaction with the entire political class there. And as usual, there is a segment there which says that India has been interfering in their internal affairs. The Chinese hand in Nepal has been, especially in the previous government of the unified Marxist and Maoist parties, the Chinese were playing a very significant hand behind the scenes. So let's talk about these two countries. Bhutan has been relatively stable, but we cannot take anything for granted. There's a lot of Chinese pressure on Bhutan for its territory and to gain influence there as well. So what's happening in Nepal and Bhutan? And again, what can India do to make things better in these two countries? Can I hear from someone, please?
Thank you, sir. My name is Prashant and I am from Motilal Nehru College, Delhi University. So, when we talk about Nepal and Bhutan, Nepal has recently seen Gen Z protest. And what are the reasons behind it? You see that there are certain economic, internal dynamic reasons. There are two dimensions. One is internal and another is external dimensions. Our role of external may be lower, but internals are very high. When you talk about like economically, there are inequalities. We have seen that how protesters were against the Nepo kids. So there are issues with related to Nepal, and we have seen that how a new interim government, Karki-led government, Justice Karki-led government has came up after this protest, and how OP Sharma Oli's government has been ousted by the mass protest. And when we talk about Bhutan, Bhutan is witnessing not a political crisis, but it has issues related to Chinese territorial diplomacy or territorial assertion in that region, where we see that how they do salami slicing in that region, where they just take the villages, small parts of the villages, and they also has this land swapping agreements where they are swapping Dhoklam, which is a very strategic location near the chicken neck corridor. So there are certain issues, both external and internal, in both these regions. So what should India do? The question is this: India should adopt a soft and a hard power approach. In this soft approach, what we are going to do is we are going to engagement. Engagement is very important, not only just through establishment. We should go beyond establishment and see that and leaders, industry leaders, we are engaging with student organization, youth-led protest is there. So youth leaders should be engaged. We should go through culture. Humanitarian mandate is there. So we should help them. And then there is a hard power approach. For the hard power approach, what India needs is, you should go, not that we cannot be soft always. You have to be coercive in nature. Like sometimes we should draw the red lines, that this would not be allowed by the India, that you go for Doklam, giving Doklam will not be allowed for the by the India. And what you need to do, when you're drawn the red line, then what India can do, India can make them economically indispensable. India can make ourselves economically indispensable, that they cannot act against the interests of India.
Thank you so much. Interesting suggestions from our friend from Delhi University. The mix of hard and soft approaches is quite interesting. Maybe controversial, but we should not close our options, because indeed, if certain red lines are crossed, big powers should step in and make sure that their interests are protected. So interesting indeed. Can I hear any other views about Nepal and Bhutan and the Himalayas? What more we can do for our neighbors? Yes, please.
Hello, I'm Dr. Lakshmi from Andhra University, Andhra Pradesh, and I'm pleased to be here. Now, considering Nepal and Bhutan and India, there are micromanagements, there are unstable political mandates, so there has been a lot of disturbance in those countries. And coming to India and its role in playing for Nepal and Bhutan, I would consider decrease of political micromanagements and increasing our contribution towards infrastructure, education, health, and connectivity building. And people also look forward for trust when we have contribution towards youth exchanges. So this will help India to be as a good friend to Nepal and Bhutan, and other neighbors also. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Interesting, debate here we have yours among our student participants. Our friend from Andhra Pradesh is saying that actually we should depoliticize our approach and focus more on infrastructure and economic matters only, and not, be seen to be involved in the domestic politics of these countries. Points well taken. The China factor again looms large, because China has occupied Tibet, north of Bhutan and north of Nepal, and it's coming down as part of a southward expansion, and that's a major problem for us. So preserving these buffers of Nepal and Bhutan very critical for India's security, as has been pointed out by our young friends. Okay, I'm going further west now to our western side, which historically has been a sore point and has not been a favorable place for cooperation. So let's talk a bit about Pakistan and Afghanistan. Pakistan, we had in 2025 major armed clash with them after the Pahalgam terrorist attack, and the reverberations of that military confrontation are still being felt. And given their propensity to continue to promote jihadist extremism against India, we cannot rule out more incidents and more clashes with them. It's a deep ideological problem, isn't it? But Afghanistan is turned around, and under Taliban in 2025, India made a huge, bet, a strategic bet on rapprochement with them, and it has really worked out well for us. And that's actually increased the strategic pressure on Pakistan, because now the Taliban government in Afghanistan is actively resisting what they consider to be the Pakistani hegemony or Pakistani encroachment or into their turf. So let's talk about these two countries, one positive, one negative. What has India been doing? What more can we do? Even though Afghanistan is a positive story, I must say that the conditions, the humanitarian and developmental conditions and the status of women, all these things are really, really dire there. So it's not like it's a great success. And there could be something that's building up there also against the Taliban. We never know. So let's talk about these two countries to our west. How have we dealt with them, and can we ever be really good neighbors with countries, especially with Pakistan, which is somehow viscerally opposed to us for ideological reasons? Can I get in some views on this, please?
Hello, this is Abhishek Kumar from Moscow Aviation Institute. I have graduated from there, Russia, Moscow. I want to say that I believe in soft power, and always soft power is ahead of hard power. So, for Afghanistan, I will consider as like many multilateralism we are doing right now, but unilateralism is a unique idea for us, and we should invest in institutional based, like such as institution to institution approaches, like just like college interactions and also healthcare facilities, and there are so many like structural development within our within the country, like Afghanistan and also Nepal and so on countries. But we are approaching for Pakistan is as a hard power, and we should not have apply 100% economic barrier. We should apply just like hard power, just anti-terrorism and all. Uh, Also, I want to enhance like we are looking we are looking for alternatives of SAARCs. We should go for BRICS, like one of the most relevant right now, and also BBIN.
Any other thoughts on how we are handling the Afghanistan-Pakistan using the old dictum of Kautilya, my enemy's enemy is my friend? How is that working? Can I hear some other views? Yes, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Assis. I study at King's College London. Regarding the question at hand, I would say that with maintaining a strategic alliance with Afghanistan, India should be a bit too careful, should not rely on maintaining a peaceful relation with Afghanistan, given that Taliban is also previously been considered a terrorist organization, similar to what some organizations have been considered in Pakistan. And this idealistic approach to view Pakistan as a future ally is probably something which would hinder India's defense and foreign policy structures. I think what India should do is realistically, they should maintain the border security. That should be the first and foremost focus with both the countries. Yes, it's true that an enemy's enemy is a friend, but that's not always the case. The moment India might go against the ideas or the ideals of the Afghanistan government, it wouldn't take long for the Taliban organization to be against India as well. I don't think so. It's that trustworthy. I also believe in what C. Raja Mohan said in his book, Crossing the Rubicon. He said that India must take an active participant role in the South Asia border. So I believe the decision that was taken to collaborate with Afghanistan was an excellent idea. It can be an act of deterrence, and it was strategically a very realistic foreign policy decision, which should be commended, even though India did receive a lot of criticism for it. Additionally, I also think what C. Raja Mohan said regarding accepting and not relying on unilateral decisions and unilateral actions, I think India can also focus in collaborating with foreign institutions with great powers that do have good intentions rather than great powers that may have bad intentions in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, interesting ideas and some caution about Afghanistan. We'll have to wait and see on that. But collaborating with other great powers or external powers to jointly do something in this region is always been critical. I mean, China is so rock solid behind Pakistan. Already there's a great power that's backing Pakistan, right? So which is the great power that is backing India in this contest? Can we say that we will jointly counter both China, Pakistan axis all alone, or we will need more players to come along with us? That's very critical. Ideally, we should be working with the US, but somehow the coordination on these matters has not been so great with them. Okay, let me go further down now from the west to the southern region. Now, Indian Ocean region, we have small island nations which are also our neighbors, especially Sri Lanka and the Maldives. And here we find currently, as of 2025-26, they seem to be stable and they are on some kind of a path to recovery and to even doing well economically. But just a few years back, if you rewind, they were in dire straits, and we had like regime collapses and sudden changes that were disputed by the other side, and total economic failure in the case of Sri Lanka. It was already mentioned that India did the big bailout for that country. So let's talk about these island territories and these island nations and these neighbors. They are smaller in size and in population compared to our western or eastern neighbors, but these are strategically very vital for us because they are part of the Indian Ocean region, where again the Chinese challenge is a very serious one for us. So let's talk about what has been happening in Sri Lanka and the Maldives. What is our strategy there? How are we assisting these countries, and how are we handling the China factor again in these countries? There are different views. Some people say we should just focus on the bilateral with these countries and not worry about the Chinese shadow, because otherwise these small countries feel offended that they are just being used as terrain on which big powers are waging their ego tussles. So how should we approach these smaller island nations in the Indian Ocean region? Let me have some views on Sri Lanka and the Maldives, please. Yes, please.
Greetings, sir. I am Ramanjeet Kaur from Hindu College, University of Delhi. Sir, our relationship in the south with both Maldives and Sri Lanka has been a masterclass in diplomacy crisis. Both Sri Lanka and Maldives have seen an India out sentiment and pro-China shifts, but both have moved towards India for stability when the political and economic gravitas set in. In 2022, when the economic crisis hit Sri Lanka, they realized the true death trap nature of the Chinese investments. Whereas if we look towards Maldives, the President Mohammad Muizu came to power in 2023 on an India out platform, and he wanted the removal of Indian military personnel from the island. But by the late 2024 and early 2025, we have seen a pragmatic reset there. To encourage the Indian sentiment there and not the anti-India sentiment, and to stop them from going pro-China, India must destabilize the public opinion there. Anti-India rhetoric is often used as a political tool by the opposition parties to come to power. But India must maintain track to diplomacy with all the political parties so that a collapse in government does not lead in collapse of relations with India and a pro-China shift. We also need to avoid cultural friction with them. Like, for example, we had the Lakshadweep versus Maldives spat, which showed how hyper-nationality can actually hurt diplomacy. Instead of doing that, we should use soft power, Buddhism in Sri Lanka and shared maritime culture in Maldives. Rather than dominance, we should go for soft power. One of our historical weaknesses has always been that we cannot finish our projects on time as compared to China. Projects, flagship projects like Greater Malay Project should be finished on absolutely time to show that India is just as efficient as we are friendly. But we also have to realize one thing, that these nations will keep hedging between New Delhi and Beijing. Instead of demanding exclusive loyalty from them, we must become the partner of choice by showing that we are extremely reliable.
Excellent. Thank you. Viewers, interesting viewpoints from one of our friends from Delhi University. And she's talking about how India can be a reliable friend and not necessarily seen to be competing with China on everything. I mean, because that's often led to negative reactions from the ground in some of these smaller countries. Other views on the island territories, Maldives and Sri Lanka, and what more we can do with them? Yes, please.
Hello, sir. I'm Astik. I'm from IIT Guwahati. So, answering your question on Maldives and Sri Lanka. So, I'm gonna break this into three parts basically. The first one being geoeconomics of the region. So, here we can see that India's aid to Sri Lanka and Maldives, the recent aid given by our external affairs minister in Sri Lanka, it shows that India is not going to be an alternative in China. Rather, India is going to have its own humanitarian diplomatic relations with these countries.
This is after the cyclone and our Operation Sagar Bandhu and all that.
Yeah, it's after Cyclone Ditwe basically. So this is where I think most of our people get confused, that we have to counter China. We don't have to counter China. What we can replace in all our neighbors is that we already have cultural ties with all of our neighbors, which China doesn't have. And that's what we call soft power. And that's what I believe should be taken as strength. This was the geocultural aspect which I was talking. The second thing is geostrategic aspect, where scholars like Shiv Sankar Menon has mentioned how Sri Lanka is an aircraft carrier sitting in the Indian Ocean. So this influence of Sri Lanka is bringing external players like China in the region. We saw this in terms of Hambantota port there. So again, here also it's all about debt trap diplomacy of China, which needs to be countered by humanitarian diplomacy of India. So that's again another thing which needs to be taken care. And the third aspect here is being pragmatic. So in case of Afghanistan as well, we saw that India is not going to be ideological. If we are going to be a hegemon in our region, which a lot of scholars like Meachheimer talks about, we need to be pragmatic in these aspects, especially with respect to Maldives and Sri Lanka. And India has done brilliantly well, because we have seen anti-India sentiments by the advent of Muizu government. We knew that Dissa Naike government in Sri Lanka is sort of pro-China. But despite that, the recent collaborations in terms of different projects, it is in the interest of India. And then lastly, with the regional cooperation, platforms like Colombo Security Conclave, BIMSTEC, the multi-sectoral platforms, it might help all of our cause. It is true that India's lopsidedness is not allowing other countries to involve in security collaborations directly, but these regional platforms provide them a cushion as well. So I think India should, whenever there is crisis, India should forefrontly use these regional platforms on the fore.
Thank you. Interesting points. Viewers, engaging these smaller neighbors as part of a web of friendships or cooperation through minilateral or multilateral groupings is, of course, been part of India's strategy. Sri Lanka is part of the BIMSTEC, and we would like other such initiatives to happen in the Indian Ocean region so that they all feel, I mean, it's not so much lopsided, it's more like, India's asymmetry, the power of India is so huge that the smaller countries might feel intimidated. So so getting them as part of a group where all of them have equal say is, I think, a valuable point. Okay, I mean, so far we've spoken about the problems in these neighboring countries from east to north to west to south, and also what India can do more. But already institutions have been mentioned. I want to go there a little deeper now. For all practical purposes, the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, or SAARC, is dead in the waters. It's just not going anywhere, right? We haven't had a summit in almost a decade or longer, and is simply not functional anymore, and we just have to probably leave it aside. Even though there is a SAARC secretariat in Nepal, is just been a bystander to all these developments, right? We have tried to integrate the region under other banners. So I want to go there now. Since we have already mentioned groupings, not just one-on-one, but also small groupings or subgroupings. What are the institutional means by which we can further integrate the region around India? We already spoke about domestic politics in those countries and how we should be non-partisan and all that. When that's all well taken, but now let's talk about structures, creating a regional architecture or structure. Yeah, what are the means by which we can further consolidate these countries around India as the big growth engine, but which is also generating benefits, trade, connectivity, commerce, people to people, cultural, all these things. What are the means by which we can do these? Have you seen any new initiatives or old initiatives that are being revived? Some have been mentioned already in the show. I would like to know more what we can do in terms of a broader regional strategy for all our neighbors through institutional aggregation. Can I hear some voices, please? Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. My name is Suhana, and I'm pursuing my political science honors from IGNOU. Basically, we have seen that South Asia region has been least integrated, and there are many factors behind it, whether it is weak regional institutions or framework, or economic instability, political instability in this region, and other so many factors. And we have also seen that SAARC, which was formed to unify this region, it is almost defunct now because of the presence of innate enemies like India and Pakistan, which can never reach on conclusion or consensus. If we talk about other like regional institutional framework by which we can or India can push for unification of this region, I think BIMSTEC can be that one platform. We can use that because in BIMSTEC, if we see the member countries, now possibility is there that we can unify because the Pakistan is not there and
Afghanistan is not there. Yeah.
So possibility is there, and there are many frameworks within this which India can use, like BIMSTEC FTAs. Okay, and we can also go for the energy collaboration and other aspects by which we can integrate this region. Apart from this, like BBIN is also there, in which we can encourage or push Bhutan to fully join.
Bhutan, Bangladesh, India, Nepal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we can encourage Bhutan to fully join it, and on the other hand, like India, Bangladesh, Nepal can proceed for implementing it, and we can also customize and lower the customs procedures so that so that trade can be further increased and enhanced. Apart from it, regional infrastructure building is very important, and India should show that yes, it's a reliable partner and can work with all. And it is not like that since China is doing so, we are doing. It is not the case. We are the reliable partner, and we should integrate in the sense because it is in the interest of all of us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. A friend from the Indira Gandhi National Open University viewers is talking about how we can better integrate these countries through innovative groupings and subgroupings, and always that's very crucial. Any other thoughts on institutional reforms or ideas through which we can bring our neighbors closer to us? Yes, please.
Hello, sir. Myself Harsh from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. So, as soon as SAARC went defunct, BIMSTEC rose up, and then we saw a very eastward shift in our diplomacy. But we should not forget that if we do not uh, take up what is there on our west side, we will always be strife stricken with those countries. Also, not only trade and other economic activities, but we must also focus on how these institutions and a consensus based dialogue, open dialogue based institutions can help in reducing those anarchical movements and protests in the member countries without being apparently
Intervention.
politically interventionist. So these are some this is what we can do. Also, the way we introduce Africa in at a global level in G20, we can also try including our other neighbors at a global level, so that they see India as a big brother, which can be a pathway for them to a global level partnership with other bigger nations. And we have to make way for them before China does, so that China factor does not uh, again and again come and bite us in a
Thank you. Thank you. Interesting idea from a friend from Mumbai, viewers, that we should bring in our immediate neighbors into some G20 like framework, just as we did with the African Union. Dialogue partners, observers, already, when we were hosting the G20 summit in 2023, we had brought them in, but now maybe some more formal recognition will help raise the status and the sense of the self-image of these neighboring countries. So we're coming to the close of the show almost, viewers, but I want to take up a very important issue that has been referred to by our young friends frequently, and I want to focus a little more on it. This is the people-to-people linkages, especially among young people. Unfortunately, the state of affairs in South Asia is that most of our young people don't necessarily have the opportunities to engage with their counterparts from neighboring countries. Even travel and mobility, we had a student from Delhi University talking about it earlier in the show, but it's not common. And given the density of the youth population, the youth bulge in these countries, the Gen Z of India is not frequently in touch with the Gen Z of Nepal or Bhutan or Bangladesh or Pakistan or Afghanistan or Sri Lanka or Maldives, right, or Myanmar. So there is a problem there. And although we talked about cultural linkages, Buddhism and Hinduism and all these, at the level of young people, there are few avenues, formal avenues at least, through which we can create some kind of mutual understanding. So I want to hear from our young audience here what we can do in this regard. Is there any interesting initiative or idea that's already happened and which should be promoted further? How can we create this consciousness of being neighbors if our young people look further away for opportunities or for engagement, but not right next door? So there is a huge gap there, or a blank spot there. So let's focus on that. Can I hear some ideas about how we can do youth to youth engagement? Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Srishti. I'm from G. St. Mary College. One interesting aspect that everyone highlighted while speaking is that the reason why regional groupings like SAARC haven't been able to cooperate is because there is this trust deficit between India and its neighbors, and that is the reason why we see India as in sort of an intimidating position. Maybe because India hasn't been able to push its narratives more regularly. So as we saw recently in the Pahalgam attack, the policy of India telling about itself, telling about its strategic position has been reactive rather than active position. So I think so at the level of people to people connection, one thing that we can learn from China, as people have also mentioned, is that education diplomacy. So education diplomacy has come in through institutes like the Confucius Institutes, that have emerged, wherein, and also the programs like Schwarzman Scholars, which they have brought in people from other countries to learn more about China and to learn more about its culture and to understand it as well. That has able enable them to entrench their ideas and all their cultural diplomacy to a more level. I think so India has also started very recently through the Tiruvallava institutes. So I think so bringing it to the level of education and bringing in people from neighboring countries to learn more about India and to know more about its position and all would be more helpful in further strengthening people to people.
Thank you. Yeah, creating some structured mechanisms to bring young people from the neighborhood to study in India in a bigger way. Already the Indian Council for Cultural Relations sponsors large numbers of students from neighboring countries to come on scholarships. But I think the scale we are talking about, we need to scale up. Any other ideas on how we can engage with the young people from the neighborhood? Yes, please.
Hello, sir. My name is Ramakant Saket. I'm from Avdesh Pratap Singh University from Madhya Pradesh. If you talk about the narratives of the nation, narratives are mostly developed by medias, and more we can say that social media. And today's youth are can be the part of showing positive picture of our nation toward the in global platform. If we also more further stretch it, we really have seen the cultural or if we say educationally collaboration with our neighbors like Sri Lanka or Nepal. So we need to more further strengthen this policy, and in case of sports, we can also promote Asian Games, whether in which we can collaborate with Sri Lanka, Nepal, and
South Asian Games,
South
right?
Asian
Maybe even
Games.
something smaller, yeah.
South Asian Game. And if we also talk about education, we tech companies also can be the part of this. If we talk about cultural aspect or movies, through movies, India's and can collaborate with the other neighbor nation.
Thank you. Good ideas all. Yeah, a lot of cultural power of India will need to be deployed to win the hearts and minds. Any last thoughts on how young people in India can connect with your peers in neighboring countries? Yes, please.
Hello, sir. I am Shagun Tiwari from Raja Mahind Pratap Singh University, Aligarh. And on this topic, I would like to say that connecting neighbors with, as like India always have a cultural ties with all the neighbors. Like with Nepal, there is roti veti culture, and with other countries as well, like Buddhism in Sri Lanka. We can connect that, and with the cultural ties, we can say that there is a link of the science and tech development. Like we can innovate, and as the growth of the artificial intelligence, we can collaborate with them, and we can share ideas on that. And with this, it will be region led development, and the whole region will develop as a complete like I can say that we can subdue the relevance of the America if we share little bit, not completely, but if we increase the research and development projects with the collaborating with each other and influencing others and promoting about this, then it will be a soft power as well as development, which will lead to the whole region led development, which will also reduce the extremism and terrorism in the region.
Thank you. Thank you. Interesting ideas, all our viewers. Using our lead in information technology and sharing it with our neighbors. We have been trying to do that through iTech and other programs, skill building and all that. But obviously, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And of course, no point in re-emphasizing the civilization connect and to bring more even tourists for religious pilgrimages to India from neighboring countries. We've been trying to create those trails by which they can come and feel like, civilizationally we are all one people, even though because of colonization and all that, we have all been split into smaller nation states. A lot of work will need to be done. There's no question about it. The main takeaway for me from this discussion is that there is a mix and a range of strategies that India has already adopted and which will need to adopt, and it's not stable because of external players. The neighborhood is being exploited by external players, and we need to be watchful of that, and we need to check some of this external interference as well. But at the same time, we do not want to be seen to be imposing ourselves on our neighbors and their freedom of choices. So it's always a delicate balancing act, and there's so many ideas our young audience has shared today, and I'll leave you with these thoughts so that we can all strategize collectively how we can further integrate and cooperate with our own neighbors. At the level of young people in particular, the upcoming generations, they will need to be learning from each other. There's so much that India's young people can give and share to our counterparts in the neighboring countries, and I think if we emphasize on that in particular, especially the youth to youth exchanges, maybe there is hope for the future. So right now the neighborhood of India is in flames, most of the countries, and we are doing a bit of firefighting, but there is a limit to what more we can do. Meanwhile, we will want to be maintaining our neighborhood first approach, wherein we prioritize them. It is the first concentric circle, viewers, in the writings of Kautilya, the immediate neighbors, and like we said at the beginning of the show, it's not a choice, it's actually our dharma or duty to be engaging with them in a way that uplifts them all. So India has the means, India has the self-confidence to be able to rise and to take all the boats along with it. India is the rising tide here, and I think sooner or later we would want our message of pragmatic economic cooperation, common cultural values, and democratic institutions, all these to flourish in the region, so that we can all grow together and say that this relatively disunited subcontinent will one day become stronger. I want to thank all our audience, special audience, for being here, and good luck with your careers, and so happy to see so many of you brimming with ideas and energy about our neighborhood first policy.
Thank you, sir.